All right, everybody, what is going on? Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. And we are continuing our look back at the 2025 Seattle Seahawks, talking about their best players, talking about their most valuable players, however you want to quantify it, however you want to label it. We're doing the best players on the 2025 Seahawks, the team that won the Super Bowl. This is just one way in which we celebrate how good a team they were and how much they accomplished. We talk about their best players, and this is a series that I have done before, but I haven't done the last two seasons because the team didn't make the playoffs, and it would have felt a little bit funky if you did it for a team that ultimately didn't live up to expectations. All right, so today's number 9. We're going to be doing player number 9. This video is sponsored by Prize Picks. So we've done 12, 11, 10. Today is 9, so we're counting our way up to number 1. In my opinion, the 9th most valuable player on the 2025 Seahawks. And this was another tough one. This is another one that you've got to kind of massage a little bit to really get to the heart of. Abraham Lucas. Abraham Lucas was my number 9. And there's a couple different things that went into this one. But I think the central thing with Abe Lucas, and I know this kind of sounds like low expectations, like I'm giving him a ton of praise for meeting a low standard. But in the case of Abe Lucas, it's really not. He played every snap for the 2025 Seahawks on offense. Regular season and postseason, I don't believe he missed a single snap all season. And again, I understand that that might sound a little bit like I'm kind of damning him by faint praise. I'm really not. He played a full season, as full a season as you can play, right after signing a, I would say, somewhat questionable contract extension and needing to prove he could stay on the field. That, in and of itself, is extremely powerful. Abe Lucas, this was his 4th season in the NFL. The first 3 seasons of his career, he had not played a full season. 2022, he missed 1 game. 2023, he missed 11 games. 2024, he missed 10 games. So he had missed a lot of football those first 3 seasons. It was rough. And there was a point where a lot of people, myself included, started to wonder, is this guy just not going to be there for us when we need him? Is this going to be a guy who has a short career? Is this going to be a guy who retires when he's like 28 because his body just can't keep up? The Seahawks said, no, we don't think so. Our doctors have looked at him. We've been working with him. The rehab's been going. And after 2024, a season where, once again, he only played 7 games. And for the most part, there was some comfort in the fact that the games he missed were earlier in the season. But he still missed the last game of the year in 2024, so there wasn't a lot of confidence that Lucas would be able to be a reliable, steady, healthy presence on the offensive line. But the team decided to have faith in him, and they gave him a notable contract because they felt like if he had the season that they thought he was going to have in 2025, then he would cost a lot more this offseason. And I'll tell you, they were right. He played every game. I believe he played every snap, and he was really good. If you like sports, then the best way to make them even better and more exciting is using the Prize Picks app, where it always feels good to be right. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players and build lineups with a few taps. Whatever sport you're into, and obviously we are now firmly into the NFL offseason, so we're all about baseball. We got some basketball, we got some hockey, whatever it is you like. Prize Picks gives you a fun way to stay locked in while you're watching. Definitely make sure to use the promo code HMA. Prize Picks is hooking up users with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. If you use that promo code, that is HMA. I've had a great time on Prize Picks so far, so definitely get on over to it, check it out, and make sure to get your lineups. And don't forget about Team Picks, where you can pick winners, spreads, and totals on any major game. So download the app now, use HMA, and get on over to Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And remember, always gamble responsibly. So you have a couple different things going on here. Not only did he play every snap, but he played well for the snaps that he was out there. I'm not going to say he's prime Lane Johnson. I'm not going to say he's Penny Sewell. He's not one of the best right tackles in the game, but he plays a very important position, especially for this offense. That's another thing to keep in mind here. The Seahawks are a run-first team. They like to run the ball. So when you're talking about important players on your team, Abe Lucas is higher than you might expect because he plays right tackle. And right tackle's very important for the run game. So 17 games of Abe Lucas, 17 good games, not perfect games, not everything that you could ever want, but we are getting a great bargain these next few years. And John Schneider deserves a lot of credit for hitting on this early, because a lot of people wouldn't have done it. A lot of people would have said, we got to see it first. We got to see him make it through a whole season. There's no way we can throw a bunch of money at a guy who's played 13 games out of, 34 possible over the last 2 years. They took the risk, and he was a really good player. PFF graded him well in all relevant categories for offensive linemen. And if you take a look at his pass blocking stats, yes, he did allow a career high in pressures, but it was also a career high in pass block efficiency. He allowed fewer sacks than he ever had before. Are relative to the number of snaps that he played, to be clear. Last time he played anywhere close to a full season, which was in 2022, he allowed 10 sacks. 2025, he allowed 4. He turned a lot of his sacks allowed in and hits allowed into hurries. And you can live with a hurry, especially a PFF hurry. We all know those hurries tend to be a little bit on the lighter side. A vast majority of the stuff that Abe Lucas allowed in 2025 was light. So that's another element at play here as well when you're talking about Abe Lucas. He improved his play significantly and had, I would say, pretty comfortably the best season of his career, if for no other reason than that he was also lights out in the postseason. Like Charles Cross, we talked about Charles Cross a few days ago. In 3 playoff games, Abe Lucas had 1 penalty and allowed 2 quarterback hurries, and that's it. That's about as good as it gets. Remember, as the right tackle, you are going up against some pretty nasty edge rushers, and he held up. And the run game, which for the most part worked quite well near the end of the season, Abe Lucas owns a big chunk of that. He is the right tackle. You're typically running behind the right side of the offensive line in the NFL. That's just kind of the way things work. So Abe Lucas owns a good piece of that. And you can see that while there were a couple of bumpy moments here and there, like allowing 6 hurries against the Niners in week 18 and 4 pressures the week before against Carolina, there's also a lot of really clean stuff in here where he's just not allowing a heck of a lot. Like, this is something that I think goes beyond just relief that we didn't give out a bad contract extension. This is also, we have a legitimately really good right tackle. Maybe you'd even call him a franchise right tackle, and we have him at a cheap rate for the next few years because we got out in front of this. So there's a few different elements at play here when you're talking about Abe Lucas, but when I think about what he did this season, I think about a player who has finally lived up to everything we hoped for when we drafted him. To me, Abe Lucas was one of the most exciting draft picks the Seahawks have had over the last 5 years, because not only was he a player that I liked, not only was he a player that I coveted, he was a player that I never thought was going to be available in the 3rd round. So when he was there in the 3rd round and you got him, it felt like you had done something really spectacular. And I consider this Abe Lucas deal to be one of the most underrated parts of the 2025 Seahawks. He kind of gets lost a little bit because everyone, when they talk about the offensive line, they talk about Cross, they talk about Zabel because they're on the left side. And that stuff tends to be a little bit more interesting because Cross got the $100 million extension. Zabel was the rookie. But Abe Lucas, I think, was among our most valuable players in 2025 And I think he ultimately lands ninth. Remember, availability matters. There are other players out there. Like, you could argue that Cross is more valuable, but Cross also missed 3 games. Lucas didn't miss any time at all. You could argue that Nick Eamon-Wari is more valuable, but Eamon-Wari missed basically the first month and a half of the season. Maybe you'd say the first 5 games. And he wasn't really a full-on part of the defense until about week 6 or week 7. So I think Abe Lucas probably has him beat by a little bit there. And yeah, that's what I got. I think that he is probably going to almost by default already be the best right tackle in franchise history, by the way. It's not a position we've had a lot of great players at least not for an extended period of time. I think we're already kind of there, man. All right, let me know what you guys think. I got Abe Lucas at number 9. Moving on to number 8, either tomorrow or the next day. We'll see what happens over the next day or so. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. That is my number 9. Let me know if you've got something different. Go Hawks.